start talking about this USAID thing because this was crazy. The response to it, the reaction was crazy, as most people know by now. Earlier this week, the part of this whole DOGE restructuring, eliminating redundancy and looking for efficiency in government effort, they decided to essentially pause all of USAID funding and start to go through it. But separately, well, not separately, but within that, what was found was a lot of payments to news organizations that have carried water for a certain party for a very long time. The biggest one, I think, was that there is a lot of chatter about the payments to Politico, because when those were frozen, I think it was Tuesday, Politico also said they could not pay their staffers that day or that week. It was the first time that they missed pay for their employees. And people were saying, well, is it because you were mostly government funded and now you have no money? And it probably, but what do you guys think about this? What have you been hearing?
Well, I mean, USAID or whatever whatever organization. I think it was the energy department was one of them, was paying for like 400,000 prescription or subscriptions or something like that. Politico is often respected by the left as a news outlet, quote unquote. And I just have to think back over the last 8+ years and all the attacks on Donald Trump, and love him or hate him, whatever. You can not like his policies, that's fine. But people reference they read these news articles, and I'm just wondering if Democrats and leftists that have just gone to the tops of the mountains to scream how much they hate Trump, and they point to these news articles as to why, do they realize that the government was paying these companies to write this drivel?
Did they realize it? I doubt that they realized it.
Even what about now? Are they gonna second guess it? Is my question. Are they gonna be like, wow, was I duped?
No,
they're gonna go full bore. They're just gonna keep doing it.
Yeah,
I would assume.
Why would you assume that? Wouldn't the logical thing to do would be to say, hey, I think like this isn't good. This is weird. Maybe I've been lied to.
We're talking about politics in 2025. This people just want things that reaffirm their beliefs. So no, of course not.
Is that what we need to be doing on the show?
No. I mean, I think that the Democrats think that those news outlets, regardless of their source of funding, are telling them the truth. I don't know why, but that's what they think.
Well, I think there's one person here that agrees with them.
Who?
Charles.
I'm pulling up a little headline from Politico,
okay,
and then I'm going to make a point. See that? I tweeted this in December of 2021. The great fake child sex trafficking epidemic.
It's fake, guys.
Oh, that's the Atlantic. That's the Atlantic, not Politico. But it's the same speed, And so my thought immediately when this came up is USAID is a front group for the CIA, right? We use it diplomatically in other countries. We give USAID gives money to other countries so that we can have diplomatic control or influence over them. It's a CIA front group. And this little we fund media thing is Operation Mockingbird, just in its newest form. Am I wrong? So because Politico, the New York Times, all these organizations that are receiving funds from USAID pump headlines, and then those headlines get spread on CNN and MSNBC, and they're infiltrated in all of the media. So who is the influence behind that money? I think it's the CIA.
So do you think that this whole exposure is going to lead to, do you think that all of the progressive stuff over the past few years is purely manufactured when you think about it? Because if you're feeding this from USAID into these outlets are then feeding it out to the public, making it seem as though these movements and these issues are bigger than they actually are. Does that mean the whole progressive movement was essentially propped up by, the US government?
I mean, I think it was propped up to begin. It is propped up, but is it being you only prop up until it can stand on its own 2 feet. And now I think is the test and to see if it stands on its own 2 feet, assuming that all of this is permanent, which is, I think, questionable. But I also want to say that we shouldn't call it USAID, because that makes it sound like they're just, it's just, malaria blankets in Africa. It's a lot more than that. It's United States Agency for International Development. I think they were involved in the 2014 Ukraine coup, right?
Sure were.
When you say aid, it kind of makes, I think it It does for me, at least. It makes me think that they're just out there trying to, solve the feed sick kids.
Framing.
Exactly.
I mean, that's fine. I'm just saying the name of the organization.
No, Michael did a lot. I'm not talking about you, Charles. It's not about you. That's a victim mindset. I was actually talking about Michael.
USAID.
Do you like that, Charles? Do you like it when I say that? Does that feel good?
USAID. Oh, you can respond, Charles.
No.
No, their USAID is a CIA front group. I'm sticking with my story, and there is interest in sowing division among the American people on racial, economic, cultural lines that has been fed. It's not entirely a creation of the deep state, but it is. They throw gasoline on the fire because they don't want us talking about them stealing all of our money and spending it on wars or whatever your gripe is, or letting people in through the southern border, or any of the other things that are actually meaningful. So yeah, I think some of it is intentional provocation of people and movements so that we fight with each other and not focus on big issues that we probably have common ground.
Well,
divide and conquer, I think, is the term.
Yeah. Art of war.
So do you think that this is sustainable? Well, okay. My thing is, with the changes, that's great. We'll have 4 years of them not doing this, but ultimately when the next president comes in, what's stopping them from just redoing it? But my second thing is, what I dislike is that this is pursuing this narrative that they're cutting government spending, when in reality, like, this is a drop in the bucket of what government spending is. I think they should have started with the defense spending if they really wanted to take a big take a big bite out of spending. They should have started there, but they can't touch that. I wonder why. So I feel like this is just like low-hanging fruit that they knew would rile up the base, and they went there. Or alternatively, maybe they're using this as an opportunity to learn to look for efficiencies that they can then use this model for bigger departments and bigger departments and bigger departments, kind of testing it out on a small scale. So which one do you think it is?
Well, I think it's the latter, and I think it goes beyond that just a little bit, and that it all of this stuff is outrageous, the things that are being pointed out, and I think it builds public support for going after bigger programs and bigger agencies.
Yep.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's not, yes, maybe it's practice runs and stuff like that to make sure that they're doing it right on small potatoes. But, to see people, like, all the major media outlets are talking about it, people are outraged. Like, how dare you, use my tax money to, funnel into these religious charity groups to bring in more migrants and yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm really angry about that. Yeah, now go after the military budget. I previously wouldn't have cared about the military budget. I'm a big neocon like Michael Searle. I want to bomb Iran. Mitch McConnell is my favorite politician. I love him. I have posters of him. But now you've shown me the way. Go after him.
Good job pronouncing Iran.